Hello, laddie lads. I'm here to speak to you about some health secrets from from two books. One book is the Book of Jubilees, which is considered canonical by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. That means it's with the Book of Jeremiah, the Book of Mark, Luke, and all those things in their Bible. Okay. Now, first, this Book of Jubilees says. On page 36, I'll just put a picture up here and read it for you. And the medicines of all their sicknesses we explained to Noah, together with all their deceptions, how to heal them with the plants of the earth. And Noah wrote all these down in a book as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicines, and the evil spirits were held away from the sons of Noah. And he gave all the writings which he had written to Shem, his oldest son. For him he loved exceedingly above all his children. I believe that's Archangel Michael talking there. So we see that those guys didn't use tablets, pharmaceuticals, and all those different things. They just used plants, okay? So if we could just use plants, that would be amazing. There's a guy called Dr. Sebi. You could go and check out some of his interviews. He was a genius, you know. He apparently healed like maybe 20 people of AIDS in 1990 something. And this was proven. There are records. They tried to sue him, but they failed. It's crazy. And also in the Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, which is just like a recounting of history. It's not like in any canonical thingy. It's not in any Bible. It says, now when Noah had lived 350 years after the flood, and that all that time happily he died, having lived the number of 950 years. But let no one, upon comparing the lives of the ancients with our lives and with the few years which we now live, think that what we have said of them is false, or make the shortness of our lives at present an argument that neither did they attain to so long a duration of life. For those ancients were beloved of God and lately made by God himself, and because their food was then fitter for the prolongation of life. Notice that their food was then fitter for the prolongation of life. Might well live so great number of years, and besides, God afforded them. So it says their food. Before I get to the next thing, their food was then fitter for the prolongation of life. Did they have different types of plants? Maybe they did. But the main point here is plants are very useful in like healing people. Plantations and stuff, fruits and stuff. If you're sick, just take. Don't take my advice like 100%, but just still be taking medicines, but like consider just using plants and taking out the pizza from your life one step at a time, not as a go. I believe it's like a balance, so you can be unhealthy one day out of 10, and eventually one day out of 20, one day out of 30. All right. For the prolongation of life, I believe, in the Garden of Eden, there was like life in the plants. So I believe that wore out after the flood. That's what I believe. Okay. So now it goes on to say God afforded them a longer time. So it was also God that afforded them. It wasn't just the plants. God afforded them a longer time of life on account of their virtue and the good use they made of it in astronomical and geometrical discoveries, which would not have afforded the time of foretelling the periods of the stars unless they had lived 600 years. For the great year is completed in that interval. See? You see that? They used their time profitably. They didn't just spend their time in talking about how celebrities are going about their different days, So, yeah, that's that for you. That's how to stay healthy according to these books. And use your time wisely if you want to live long. I think you can even live long without using your time wisely, because like people who use their time wisely died in those ages. Anyway, since we're at the dawning of the age of Aquarius, things are going to be very different. People are going to live for a longer time, according to this verse right here. Okay, so yeah, use your time wisely and eat well. Eat well, specifically now, because you're going to live long. Trust me. If you're like righteous, because the sheep and the goats are going to be separated, and the goats are going to be thrown into hell, and the sheep are going to be allowed to live longer. The sheep are basically people, even though they're not Christians, to be allowed to live under the rule and reign of Jesus. Bam. Goodbye.